Okay, so time is 1 o'clock. Let's begin. I'm sure people will join us, and when they get a minute to do that, I know there's a few that are going to join a little bit later on. So let's get started. So today's agenda, first of all, it'll be hosted by myself. My name is Roy Kennedy. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for BFT Americas. Later on at the end, when we do a questions and answer session, anything I can't answer for you, Roberto, who's a long-standing member of our technical support, will help. The webinar today is going to cover the BFT range of bollards. We're not going to go too technical or too in-depth, just really an overview of what BFT Americas have to offer, which will cover fixed bollards, gas-assisted bollards, electromechanical bollards, hydraulic bollards, anti-terror bollards. And then I also want to show you some reference sites so you can see, where these things are already installed and doing a good job. As ever, save your questions for the end. It will be recorded and obviously added to our YouTube site. For those of you that don't know, BFT are the 4th largest gate automation manufacturer in the world. We are a subsidiary and owned fully by Somfy Systems, which is a manufacturer of home automation, motorization, and access control. You can check out what they do at somfysystems.com, but a very brief overview would be motorization of shades, blinds, curtains, awnings and screens, rolling shutters, and smart homes, which is very popular now, and the controls that go with it. BFT is a business. The headquarters is based out of Schio in northeastern Italy, not too far from Venice, around about 50-minute drive from Venice. There's 20 subsidiaries, official BFT spots around the world. We've been around since 1977 and present in the US since 1990. Subsidiaries, well, now on top of the subsidiaries you can see on the map there, we have more than 530 distributors in 120 countries worldwide. We really have got a very big reach. And about 35,000 square meter headquarter and plant at Schio in Italy, which is approximately 110, 120,000 square feet. 490 employees worldwide. So we're a growing company too. We're talking to you today from our US headquarters, which is a purpose-built facility out of Boynton Beach, which we share with Somfy. And obviously after things settle and we try to get back to some kind of normal, we'd love to, have you down here and do some training sessions with you. You can see in the center image there is our training facility. It's fantastic. Unfortunately, at the moment, we can't invite any of you here to have a look at it. So why BFT? BFT, I think, in the States are predominantly known for access control, whereas everywhere else in the world, we're known for, swing gate operators, full range of above and beneath ground electromechanical, and a full range above and beneath ground of hydraulic operators too. Slide gate operators, barriers from 10 to 26 feet, automatic, preventative and anti-terrorism rated bollards, which we're going to cover today, cellular intercom systems and access systems for residential and commercial applications, cellular video intercoms, more recently pedestrian speed gates, as contactless entry becomes more of a thing and more prevalent now, certainly an area of our business which is picking up. Technical support based in Florida, where we are now, New York, Ireland, and we actually added additional technical support here in Florida in March of this year. Okay, so today, to the point, is the bollard range. Lots of people don't know actually just how many bollards and variants we can offer, so I thought it was important today as our inquiries have stepped up for this product line over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 months. So we thought it's important today to let people know exactly what we can do and what we can offer. Product categories, we have electromechanical bollards, hydraulic bollards, anti-terrorism bollards, fixed bollards, and of course gas bollards, which, although is a very small part of our range, is is also very popular too. we'll come to that shortly. So the bollard range itself, let's do some images. So this is scrolling through them from gas, through electromechanical, through hydraulic, through to anti-terror. And we'll cover those individually now in some slides. Again, not in too much detail, but really to give you an idea of what we can offer. Okay, so this is a little graph to give you an idea of where they stand. So on the right is on the left is the frequency of use, and along the bottom is the break-in resistance. Break-in resistance meaning it will have broken, and it's measured in the rate of joules. So you can see the gas and small electromechanical down here is, they're not meant to be stopping vehicles, more of a visual deterrent. Electromechanical, a lot stronger, and then the hydraulic again, a lot stronger and a much higher duty cycle or frequency use available with those. So fixed bollards. Fixed bollards is, people often think, well, why would I use a fixed bollard? Often you'll see around a sports stadium where you'll have, maybe 50 or 60, maybe 100 bollards that go around it. Only probably 4 on the north side, 4 on the east side, 4 on the west side, and 4 on the south side of that stadium will actually be automated. The rest will be fixed. So what we've tried to do is offer a fixed bollard that matches the corresponding bollard. For example, the Stoppy MBB would match with the Ranch B. The Pillar B would match with the Ranch C, and the anti-terror bollards would match with the Ranch D. This makes it very cost effective when you quote against someone. Certainly if they quoted, an awful lot of automated bollards, the fixed ones up for obvious reasons will come in cheap because they're literally a tube in the ground, but aesthetically will match. So a little bit more on the fixed ranch range. The Ranch B, like I say, is teamed with our Stoppy MBB, which we'll show you shortly. Is available in 500 mil high, 700 mil high, which will be 500 about 19.5 inches, 700 about 27.5 inches. The Ranch C is teamed with our hydraulic Pillar B, a 600 and 800 millimeter height. So you're looking at about 23.5 inches for the 600 and 31.5 inches for the 800. So quite a substantial bit of kit. And the Ranch D is on the 800 and on the 1200. The metal is slightly thicker as well. On the Ranch B and C, you've got a 5 mil metal. On the Ranch D, it's 10 mil, so it's literally twice as thick because that is, impact rated. Then we come to gas bollards. As I said earlier, it's not our most popular range by any stretch of the imagination, but very, very simple to use, very simple to install, no power required, and are very popular in city centres where people want to protect, their parking bay. It literally is just a case of inserting the key and pushing it down into the ground to gain access, and inserting the key, turning it, and it comes up gas assisted. So it's a nice little choice. It's very cost effective. There's no power involved. They also use to, keep sensitive sites safe, which are, way out there and away from power. So it is a good option, and it's something which, if the customer's budget is tight, it's an option to look at for sure. A little bit closer look at it. Semi-automatic, like we say, bollard with gas. Very small braking resistance, and there's some different variants of the models there that you can see in different sizes. They are available with lights, and they are available in stainless steel too. So if it's more of an aesthetic thing, you can order them in stainless steel. Then we move on to the electromechanical bollards. These seem to be, very, very popular at the moment. They're at a great price point. They're somewhere midway. They're not expensive, they're not cheap, but they're midway, and they are proving to be, extremely popular with us. And that would incorporate the Stoppy B and the Stoppy MBB. There are 2 electromechanical range bollards. To give you some more information on them, frequency of use on the Stoppy B is semi-intensive. These have proved very popular in front of gates to be teamed up, you know, in conjunction with a set of gates. Maybe a guy has, you know, a few nice cars that he wants to keep safe. So they're not going up and down all day. They maybe drop in the morning when he leaves and, you know, and return back up. And then when the gates, when he comes back home from work, maybe, you know, the bollards drop the gates open. But I've got video and, video, etc. of that, you know, in motion. If you need to see it, just ask. My contact details will all be available at the end. The Stoppy MBB is very intensive. This is a great all-rounder in terms of bollards. This really does, you know, tick a lot of boxes. It's very well priced, extremely well priced. People really do like this, and I know a lot of you guys may know Scott. He's been selling these like they're going out of fashion at the moment. So there obviously is a change in the market, I would say. Braking resistance is pretty good too. In terms of, you know, it would need to be hit quite hard for you to have to go out there and repair it. This will be available in a, you know, a fail-safe or fail-secure model too. So you can actually have it if in the event of a power outage, it would stay up. There's like a little battery backup, which is a brake, and stops it from falling. Or you can have it as it comes standard, whereas in the event of a power failure, it will fall down to the ground and people can come in and out. So that's really your choice. Again, available in different sizes of 19.5 inches or 27.5 inches high. The smaller Stoppy B will come at 4.5 inches wide, and the Stoppy MBB will come at 8.5 inches wide. It's available with lights around the crown, which you can see at the top and also on the top, and a buzzer too to alert people that it's rising or falling. I'm sure we've all seen the many YouTube videos of people sat on these things and then all of a sudden they disappear into the ground and someone goes tumbling down the sidewalk. And they're also available in stainless steel too. If there was enough of these, where if you had a pretty extensive job, and let's say, for example, it was, you know, around a stadium. Let's use an example. Hopefully, I'm not upsetting anybody, of the Dallas Cowboys, and they wanted them in their, you know, official blue. If you wanted to order more than 10 for the job, which inevitably you would, you know, we can also look for an additional charge, a very small additional charge, to send them out to you already done in the RAL colour of the customer's choice. But I'll repeat, that would be for orders probably, I would say, over 10. Under 10, it would probably not prove cost effective at all. But do ask us about, you know, the different colours that we've got available. Some technical specification on this, just a little conical shaft at the top. You've seen the top image there. It's slightly conical, it comes out. And the reason that we've done that is that we found with the straight up and down bollards that sometimes we replace with these, grit or small rocks get in and it jams up the bollard, or the best case scenario is it sends a big scourge or a big gouge all the way down the side of the bollard, and, you know, leaves them, that's taken off all the protective paint and leaves them susceptible to rust and generally looking shabby. We used a square base plate, whereas originally, going back 10 years, we used to have a round base plate. We've now got a square base plate. Happened maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and that's just as it says, for better integration with sidewalks. The new control board, the Persio CBE, now has a display and an integrated radio receiver, which it never used to have. Excuse me. And you'll see around there's a BFT sticker, and it says reflection 10 centimeters high. It's about 4 inches. And what that's for is a reflective sticker. Now, again, if you was looking at a corporate building or a stadium of some kind to put these around, we can actually have that made with the company logo or the team's logo and their colours on there. We just need to be notified, and it would extend the lead time of the bollard because it is a special order. The iron shaft on there, that's available only at the 209mm or the 8.5 inch model, and I think it's a 5mm is the steel. Sorry, is the iron. LED visible by the top and by the side. Integrated buzzer, a big space for cables. Actually, one thing I've found with the cables, it's worth noting, is that lots of bollard cases or foundation cases, actually the cable gland where everything comes in is at the bottom, which can be a real problem if you sit in a a high water table or somewhere where you're susceptible to water coming up through the ground. BFT chose to gland it at the top, so it's much easier for you to work with too if you need to check cables, continuity, whatever. It's just a case of getting the first few inches out and you can see the cable gland there. The actual foundation case you can actually install separately as well, which I think is what makes these really, really popular. So if you're on a first fix of a job, if you like, so you want to go get the foundation cases in, get them set to height, and then before you finish the install, the customer wants to get his his ground level and maybe his block pavers or the tarmac or the concrete or whatever. Then there's a lid that you can just quite simply put on top. You can see the image at the bottom there, and then when you're ready, you come back with the internal motor and the bollard itself and drop it in and wire it up. So it's really quite a unique feature. I've not actually seen that anywhere else. You may be able to correct me on that. Okay, so to finish on the technical spec of the electromechanical range, 230 volt and 120 volt available. We do actually do a step down transformer. So they would come to you as 230 volt with a step down transformer, takes it down to 120. Absorb power is 300 watts. The limit switch is a little read sensor. On the Stoppy MBB, which is the larger model, you have a slow down facility. So as it reaches the top and the bottom, it will just slow down to stop the slam. On the Stoppy B, because it's a much smaller bollard in terms of width, there's no slowdown available on that, but it's not really necessary. Uses, as we've already covered, very intensive on the larger model, semi-intensive on the smaller one. They're both IP67 rated. Braking resistance, so before you would need some technical intervention, excuse me, you would be hitting the Stoppy MBB fairly hard and the Stoppy B, not quite as hard. Locking, they're both available with electric brake, and interestingly, the control board, the Peugeot CBE, will control up to 4 bollards each. So, if you're doing a big job where maybe 4 on different sides of a stadium, for example, are working, you would only need 1 control panel to control all 4 of those. It's really useful. Then we're going to move into the hydraulic range and then onto the anti-terrorism range. So hydraulic bollards, you can see is the Pillar B, the Xpass B800 and the Xpass B1200. So the Xpass, well, let's park those for a minute because those are pure anti-terror bollards. The Pillar B is just a hydraulic bollard. So you're going to get a much higher duty cycle out of that, and it's price competitive because it doesn't fall into the anti-terror, but is a big imposing bollard. So frequency use of this, because it's hydraulic, is very intensive. Braking resistance is very, very good, 250,000 joules. In case of power failure, again, you can have it fail safe, where the bollards would drop to the ground to allow people in and out, or fail secure, the SD version, where they would fail in the up position and they would stay in the up position. The models for this, we have one, the 275-600, is 23.5 inches high by nearly 12 inches wide. And the Pillar B 275-800 is 31.5 inches high by 12 inches wide, or almost 12 inches wide. Again, these are available with lights in the top crown, reversible in case of power failure, non-reversible in stainless steel. And again, if you had enough of them, we could do them in the color of your choice. And then we move on to a different beast altogether. In fact, before I go on to that, let me just come back to this and say one of the good selling features with the Pillar B is actually the pump unit is built in here. So it's in here. It's not separate or mounted on a wall or in a cabinet. The pumping unit is actually built into the hydraulic pump, itself and oil is all within the unit, so it makes it a much quicker and easier install. No need to run, hydraulic pipes to a separate location, and you'll find that's the case with all of our hydraulic range of bollards. So, moving on to the anti-terrorism bollards. These are much, much heavier use in terms of, they will just keep going and going and going. The braking resistance is obviously massive. These are fully tested, past 68, and they're also IWA. The IWA rating is the most up-to-date rating, if you like. That's tries to incorporate the American standards, the European standards, and also the Asian standards. So the IWA stands for International Workshop Agreement. An international workshop was put together to try and harmonize all the standards worldwide, and they came out with this IWA 14-1. We have passed that, and I've actually got some video of the test, which I'm going to show you shortly. Again, available with fail safe or fail secure. Again, this one particularly is 31.5 inches high. So it's a big imposing bollard, and certainly means business. And I think the best thing I can do for you is show you the test that was carried out at a facility over in Germany at Munster, at a very prestigious facility. We actually did a computer simulation test on this, and then we actually did the real test. Okay, so we can see from the video that actually took that level of pass. It needs 2 bollards to be able to stop the truck. But I think it's safe to say I certainly wouldn't want to be driving into them in it. And they're a great deterrent, and they do work really, really well. There's lots and lots installed worldwide. I'll show you some reference sites a little bit later on, but there is lots of references of these being installed in some very prestigious places. So let's cover the panel just a little bit, the control panel. So it has our U-Link connectivity, so which means you can connect, many different devices in there, Wi-Fi, cards, etc., etc. The interface has got a display, so you can actually see what you're setting, rather than using, and I know some of the old guy, I've been around a little while in this industry as well. It's my 13th year. Like the dip switches and potentiometers, but it's got a display. It seems to be the way forward now. Power 3000 watts. It will manage up to 4 bollards at the same time. But if you move on to the bigger bollard, which we're going to cover next, then you're only looking at 2 on that. On the bigger bollard as well, EFO management, which we'll cover, and UPS management too. So it's a really decent all-rounder, good panel. Built-in radio receiver too. Okay, so this is the largest bollard we offer. Hydraulic bollard, frequency use very intensive. Braking resistance for this is 2.1 million joules, so it's really, really heavy duty. It meets the new International Workshop Agreement standard. It's not reversible. in an emergency, we offer what we call an EFO with this, which is an emergency fast operation. You may have seen it in the movies, you may have seen it in real life. But this is, people will often drive through gates at high speed, and the bollards come up really, really fast behind them, so no one can follow them in. It's usually used on embassies and things of that nature. But this will rise a bollard which is just shy of 4 foot in a second and a half. So it's quite fast. It's pretty scary when you see it. And again, it's available with lights, fast rise up in case of emergency, and inox, which is stainless steel. So again, if you wanted that in different brow colors, that's available. This one had an entirely different test. It's a test that was carried out in the UK, where I originally come from, and I've actually got some stills here of the pre-test of us installing the bollard, and then I think the best thing we can do is have a look at this. This is rated for a single lane, needs one bollard to protect it. This really is a heavy-duty bit of equipment.
Hey, Roy, I think your sound might be off.
Sorry, Scott, is that better?
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, so let me just cover the power unit EFO. I think it might be just the connection here. The power unit EFO. This is only available on the 1200 high bollard, or the 4 foot high bollard. it's not available on the shorter or the first anti-terror bollard that we looked at. Reference sites. I want to cover reference sites with you, just really because we're not asking you to do something which no one's done before here. We have some phenomenal reference sites across the world. I, for one, have sold, I'm going to say thousands of bollards with BFT. I've been here a little while, but I have sold, quite a lot around the world. And actually, some of the jobs I've been involved in, I'm going to show you some reference sites and some others that I'm not involved in as well. Some bespoke stuff that we've managed to do. So it's let's start having a look. So quite a surprising one. 24 of the Stoppy MBBs in stainless steel, which prevent the entrance of cars into pedestrian area of Red Square in Moscow. So this is tried and tested technology. This really isn't something which we started last week. Often these products are on there now. They're on their, fifth or sixth generation where, the niggles have been ironed out and it's now a good solid product and it just works. But yeah, it's a pretty decent reference site. Kuwait City. This is our pillar B, the hydraulic, not the crash rated, but the hydraulic, controlling the financial area. 7 for entrance, 7 for exit. You can imagine in the Kuwait City, in the financial province, there's quite a lot of money there. So, these things have to be reliable. So that hopefully gives you an idea of just how reliable the hydraulic bollards are. The German government office, which I'm assuming is the same as Scott. Maybe you can help me with this. The same as your House of Congress, maybe, or House.
Yeah, it'd be like the Congress.
Yeah, okay. These are actually made, you can see in the top image here, it's actually a K12 bollard, so the big bollard, but we're actually encased in concrete, or actually in a granite. So aesthetically, it matched, the government office based in Berlin. So we can do some, some weird and wonderful stuff if you give us enough time to do it. Maximum security prison in Mexico. I believe this is the same prison where they held the infamous El Chapo, but this also has the large K12 bollards on there as well. And I believe there's some more programmed in to go in there very soon. The Jewish Quarter in Rome, Italy. Unfortunately, across Europe, there is a plague of people, and I'm sure it's happening here in the States too, who like to drive vehicles up to houses of worship and drive into people coming out of there. This happened in Europe more than 5 times, I'm going to say. So what we found is that lots of areas of worship were protected with bollards. BFT bollards protect an awful lot of those. A really good solution, and they've used the anti-terrorism bollard, but again, just a slightly smaller one, and they chose to install 20 of them. I don't think, as far as references, that's pretty good. That's the Sheikh's Palace in Kuwait. So I think you can just see in the distance there, he might have his golden gates, but he does have his BFT pillar hydraulic bollards, 30 of them that protect anyone getting into his parking area. So again, a really decent reference site, and just shows you that these are not something we started last week. One that I was involved with to a degree was at the Jaguar Land Rover site, actually their motorsport division in Birmingham in England. This was 4 automatic K4s, which is the centre ones, and then 2 fixed either end. And as you can see, so I put this in there so you can see the difference. The 4 automatic ones and the 2 fixed, they really do all look the same. It's aesthetically, it works really, really well. This is one I actually did. I don't know if any of you guys follow motorsport or Formula One, but there was a former British Formula One world champion called Nigel Mansell. This is his car collection in the Channel Islands. It's a little set of islands in between the UK and France. He protected that with 45 bollards, all of which were automatic. He did not use one fixed bollard, so every one of them was automatic. And that's it from us. Hopefully you found that informative. We're going to dip into the chat box to see whether you guys have got any questions, but I'm really, really happy to answer any questions. My details there on the screen, I'm going to leave them up. Most of you will know or have dealt with Scott in the past. You're more than welcome to contact Scott on that too. He's also, pretty knowledgeable with the bollards and anything that we need to get together on, we can do. I've got a question here that says, can you translate the braking resistance joules into a specific model of car at a specific speed resistance? I can actually do that for you, but I'm going to send you that in an email. If you'd like to drop me an email with that question, it needs some diagrams and some writing in there. It's not something I can explain right now. So if you want to drop me an email with that question, I will do it. Jim, no sound, I got that. Is there any other questions? Anything that you wasn't sure of? Is there anything that's out there at the moment that you feel is similar, better? Do you feel this fitting within, your current remit? No silly questions, I promise. They all need to be answered. Give you guys another minute or so to think of any questions that you may have. Do actually have Roberto, who's been here a long time, also on his headset too. Happy to answer any questions. So more importantly, guys, from our perspective, is this something you think you could use? Is this something you currently use? Can anyone give me an idea if this is something that you currently get involved in, or is this something that you're looking to get involved in?
Roy, I'll just add a few of the projects that I've helped with.
Great. Yeah.
There's certain places where they might have an extremely expensive gate. And there was one example in New York, the gate was probably about $100,000, and they wanted to protect the gate so no one could tap it or run into it at night. So I've had jobs like that come up, or even where they don't want the presence of a gate and they want pop-up bollards, with the intercom up front. So literally they can be used for anything, even protecting, especially now with COVID, with restaurants demanding people to be outside, just pedestrian safety on sidewalks, streets, things of that nature, where you guys might get calls where people are looking to secure the area or perimeter.
Yeah, I agree. It's an unfortunate sign of the times. But yeah, that's seems to be more and more prevalent now that we're protecting, parks, places of worship, all these sort of places that we're getting involved in, which we, even 5 years ago, we would have never dreamed of that being a marketplace to put a bollard. So yeah, listen, my information's there, guys. I'm always available at the office if you want to, drop me a line, give me a call, whatever, suits you, and we'll do our best to get you quoted or whatever you need us to do for you. Okay, so thanks, guys. I'm going to sign off there for now. Thanks for attending. I appreciate, we're all out there trying to earn some money, so to give me 40 minutes of your time, I'm really grateful for. Thanks again. Any questions, do give us a call at the office or email me directly. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.